family, and welcome back to our next adventure in our lives. We're just finishing up a couple little things here as we progress on, and I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to this since I decided about it almost 2 weeks ago what we were going to be doing. Super excited about this one. Now, a couple of things. Say hello. We're using that new system again, so hopefully it'll work for us because I've got a couple of special extra treats by using it. But I definitely want to say welcome to everybody. Tell me what kind of tea you're drinking, or even if you're not drinking tea, it's hot chocolate weather too. And then some people are super healthy with the water. That's okay. Go ahead, put it in the comments or chat, depending on how you are joining us. And I have a handy dandy assistant sitting across the table from me who will help me if I can't see it on this new system. So welcome. I'm super excited to see everybody. Today, we are going to be talking about Christmas tea rituals from around the world. I've picked a couple of little things. We're going to talk about them. I'm really excited because I was inspired about Christmas teas a few years ago when I actually got this book as a gift, The 12 Teas of Christmas. And I will tell you, these are typically US types of tea rituals, but I love it. It has recipes and everything in it. It is one of my favorite things to pick one of these teas each year and to do it with my handy dandy assistant, my children when they were here, etc. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And we are going to get right to it. But first, I'm going to make some tea for myself. So today, we already have it brewed. I'm going to be making Serene Sunrise, but I'm getting super fancy. Have little sugar cubes and my little sugar cube tongs. I love it. All right, Stephanie, welcome. Oh, a lavender chai latte. That is awesome. I have seen so many chai lattes come up on my feeds and on Pinterest and everything lately, and it's because we've been talking about chai, and so it's kind of funny. All right, and I am using another one of my collector's item teacups. Oh. Super excited about that.
I was on Facebook and YouTube, not Facebook.
Yep, you can do it on YouTube too. You can join us on YouTube. Hi, Diane, and she's drinking Earl's Blend with a bit of local honey. That is amazing. That is just like the perfect thing. All right, well, I'm going to have Serene Sunrise. You know, it's hard because I try and drink, different teas so I can talk about them. But some days when you've had a long weekend like this, I just want my favorite tonight. A little bit of the comfort thing. So remember, we're going to stir. We're not going to bang. We're just going to give it a little flick. I still love these tiny little spoons. I know it's weird things to get excited about, but I'm going to take a sip. Because as you can see, I overfilled it. That's okay. All right, so we are going to get started here. And we are going to get started with, anybody want to guess the country? Anybody guessing?
Czechoslovakia.
It's not Czechoslovakia. All right, so we're going to start off with Christmas tea in the United Kingdom. So this is kind of, what they have is an afternoon tea with a festive twist to it. So the tradition in the UK, the United Kingdom, is that Christmas tea is typically elevated afternoon tea. It's like one step above a traditional afternoon tea, but it is served on Christmas Day. And it's going to have traditional scones, clotted cream, mince pies, Christmas cake, alongside the pot of the freshly brewed tea of whatever you have. The ritual part of it is that the tea is typically served after the main Christmas meal, or it can also be as a part of that cozy afternoon gathering with friends. The tea itself is usually a strong black tea. Think breakfast blend, morning Irish, typically paired with milk or sugar or something on that idea. Now, a lot of times they will add some seasonal flavors like cinnamon and cloves or orange peel to the tea to kind of get in that festive spirit of Christmas. One of the things that I love is that you're going to find that there are some similarities in these tea rituals around the world, which I think is super exciting.
Amy's here.
Amy's here. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So excited. All right. A pistachio pure. Ooh, that sounds amazing, Amy. That sounds absolutely amazing. Oh, yeah. And afternoon teas are so much fun. All right. Anybody want to guess what country this is where we're going next? I'm trying to give it a second. Wait Japan. For the comments. All right. It is a Russian Christmas tea. Now, I did write down pronunciations in my book. Samovar tea ceremony. So in Russia, tea is an integral part of social gatherings, especially during Christmas. A samovar, traditional Russian tea kettle, is used to brew the tea for large gatherings. This 10 or 12 cup pot is not going to be enough. They have lots of large gatherings, and so they have that huge thing that you see right there in the picture. Now, part of the ritual is the tea is brewed in that particular container and then served in glass cups. It will often be served with sugar cubes and lemon, sometimes jam. The tea is usually very, very strong. Guests will dilute it with hot water from the samovar to get their preferred strength. I'm going to take another sip. All right, maybe now I can speak. So they make it really uber super strong, and then they use more water from that traditional Russian tea kettle to kind of weaken it down after they flavored it and everything till it's the proper strength for them, which I think is a really cool thing. Now, with Russian Christmas celebrations, you're going to have that kind of a tea with traditional sweets, gingerbread cookies, honey cakes, pastries, Perodzi, I think is how you say it. Look, I'm going to be honest. I practice the pronunciation on a lot of these words, but I could be wrong. I apologize if I offend anybody with my pronunciation. These are not languages that I speak. I know that if my son was here, he would know how to say these words in Russian way better than I. So, but this is one of the things they do. And so you'll notice honey cakes and the gingerbread cookies and the pastries, very similar to what we saw.
Domini's here too.
Hey, Dominique, welcome, welcome. All right. So next, what are we talking? Well, anybody want to guess this one?
Japan.
It is not Japan. If you look at the picture, it could potentially give you a clue. Gotta love my handy dandy assistant. So this is actually a picture from Ethiopia. And I will tell you, I had a really difficult time finding a part of their spiced tea ceremony, their Christmas one for Ethiopia. Ethiopia is so strong in the coffee culture that they also are strong in tea, but Ethiopia is really known for its rich coffee culture. The long history of tea making kind of gets shoved to the side, but it is definitely a part of certain religious holidays and celebrations, including Christmas in Ethiopia. So in Ethiopia, tea is typically brewed with spices like cinnamon and ginger and cloves. The tea is served in very small cups, and they're often accompanied by homemade bread or pastries. Now, Christmas tea in Ethiopia is typically a very spiced and aromatic tea. It's often made with a very special blend of herbs and spices known as teff, and served with sweet treats such as dabo, which is an Ethiopian bread. So super cool, but it was really hard to find the pictures, so I hope y'all forgive me because, man, well, it was super hard to find pictures that were Creative Commons so that I could use them. All right, we're ready to move to our next country. Any guesses on this one?
Japan.
Okay.
Germany.
Germany would be correct. And it's kind of funny because our last major event of the season yesterday was an authentic German Christkindl market. And I know one of my friends that they really helped spearhead the event. She is from Germany and she has been making Stollen and all the Linzer cookies and things like that for weeks and then freezing them and then pulled them out of the freezer in time for yesterday's event. It was a very typical event, but what I want to talk about in Germany is they have a Weihnachts tea with mulled wine is very traditional. The Germany, there was mulled wine, Glühwein, which we had yesterday. There was a proprietor of that and German foods. They had bratwurst and pretzels and all sorts of sauerkraut. And oh my goodness, there was so much food that we saw going by. But the Glühwein is a Christmas favorite, but there's the tradition of serving Christmas tea blends with seasonal spices. These are often enjoyed with traditional German sweets like Stollen and gingerbread cookies. I'm not even going to try and say that German word. My German friends that were born there would just cry with my lack of correct pronunciation. But the gingerbread cookies.
Amy would like to know where the event was. And Diane said France.
Nope, it wasn't France. And the event was in Manhattan, Kansas.
Stephanie said yum. And Danny said, I've been drinking Serene Sunrise.
Oh, that's awesome, Danny. I'm glad you're enjoying the serene sunrise and I'm glad you're feeling better. Welcome back home. So we had it in Manhattan, Kansas. We have it every year. This is the second annual one. There were probably about 5,000 to 6,000 people there enjoying it. We had a Santa and Mrs. Claus. It was a blast, but it's the first Saturday of December each year. And there's a huge German population around here, which is why I'm a little more familiar with these traditions. And they really do a lot of the cooking to make it as authentic of a German market as they possibly can.
And
in Kinder Punch, which is usually what I partake in. I get a sneak peek of their Kinder Punch, which is really delicious if you've never had it. Okay.
And a blacksmith.
Yep, and we do have a blacksmith there. So the ritual part is that the tea is usually a fruit tea or a spiced black tea. Think an aroma of cinnamon and cloves and orange peel, sounding familiar yet, is going to fill the air as the tea is brewing. And it's usually served in a kind of cozy family type setting with hearty pastries. And that is traditionally. Now, mixing the tea with a small amount of the mulled wine, the Glühwein, for a spiced, warming holiday drink is also not uncommon. So there you go. All right. I am going to get ready and I'm going to have to practice this next one. Anybody want to guess where we are going next in our jury and tea traditions around the world? I've got to get my notebook out for this one.
That looks Italy.
That is not Italy, people. We are actually going to Japan.
See.
Oseki Ryori. Hoping I said that correctly.
That's pretty simple.
Tea ceremony. Now, so in Japan, this is an essential part of a New Year's celebration, but it does overlap with Christmas in some families. So I thought it would be appropriate. And, it's always fun to go to different parts of the world and not just Europe and the US. So the holiday season includes Oseki Ryori. So this is a special meal of layered dishes, and green tea is served traditionally as an accompaniment. The ritual part is that the tea is often served with a matcha or a sencha tea to kind of cleanse the palate after the rich holiday meal in between. And then the tea is very carefully prepared and served in small cups. And they are typically the tea would be accompanied by a seasonal sweet, like a rice cake. Kagamagi mochi or mochi is how I would say it, but they're basically a sweetened rice cake. Now, tea ceremonies are, again, another integral part of the Japanese New Year festivities. There really is a focus on mindfulness and respect, and they want to create this calming holiday experience, which works because today's day in Advent is peace. So it's just tying all in together, and I didn't do that. Somebody else did. Somebody else did that we were going to be talking about peace, but it's just a lovely idea to kind of cleanse the palate. And then again, you're just kind of mindfully relaxing and bringing peace into the next year. All right, time to switch countries again. Anybody want to guess where we are going next? It almost reminds me of the appetizers for a Thanksgiving, but it is not. It is way more intricate than that.
No, so
Any guesses? This is one I'm going to definitely be having a look at my book again. Okay. We're going to Sweden with this one. This is a Yule board and Christmas tea. So in Sweden, Christmas is celebrated with a traditional holiday feast known as Yule board. The tea is served as a part of the meal or enjoyed afterwards. So the ritualistic part is Swedish Christmas tea is a black tea served with milk and sugar, and accompanies a variety of holiday dishes like herring and cured meats and iconic Swedish meatballs.
Stephanie said England.
Oh, good guess. Nice try, Stephanie. Swedish Christmas tea is going to have flavors like orange and cinnamon, and sometimes it can be served alongside traditional Swedish pastries like saffron buns and gingerbread cookies. And no, I am not trying to say those words in their native language because I will slaughter them, and I do want to honor them because it's an amazing thing. One of the other things that's really interested in is Sweden is oftentimes during the Advent season, they almost like many people in the US do for Lent, they give something up, they give up meat. Well, they do the same in Sweden. They often won't have any beef, so they'll have fish or other things during that 40 days prior to the Christmas holiday, and then they'll have a beef or a meat on the Christmas holiday, which I thought was really kind of interesting that they do almost like a Lenten style of Advent in preparation. Okay. And this one is where we are going next. Any guesses? Where in the world are we now?
Carmen Sandiego.
We are not with Carmen Sandiego, but I will bet that Stephanie would love it here because we are going to be talking about a masala chai at Christmas in India. And I know Stephanie loves her chai. Domini as well. Yes. So in India, chai is the word for tea. So it gets really crazy because in America, we're like a chai tea, and that's like saying a tea to so many other people. But the chai is an everyday drink. During Christmas, families will often serve the rich spice version known as a masala chai to celebrate the season. Not that they don't drink it all year round, but it becomes something special. So masala chai is brewed with a strong black tea base, spices like cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, and black pepper. It is typically served hot, often with milk and sugar to make it creamy and indulgent.
Dominique guessed India.
Dominique guessed India. Dominique gets the gold star tonight. She's the first one to guess correctly.
I did Germany.
You did do Germany after some leading. So during Christmas, the tea can be typically paired with Indian sweets like kulfi, which is a frozen dessert, samosas, or another word that I wish Dominique would tell me how to say, but it's basically shortbread cookies, like you see right here. The ritual involves sharing the warm drink with family and friends while celebrating together. But see, we've been skipping continents and everything, everybody, today. We are not staying in the US. Okay, so I'm going to take this off, and then we are going to end up. Anybody want to guess where we're going to end up for the final one?
And you said masala chai. It's so yummy.
It is. I am I was not a chai fan for the longest time.
Dominique says she has a small advantage.
That's true, Dominique. You might have a small advantage in recognizing a good chai. Okay. We are actually going to come to the US and do a traditional tea here in the US. So, Christmas tea parties have become a very popular way to celebrate the season. You're going to have a wide array of teas and seasonal treats, getting together with family and friends. Now, what's a little different about the rituals here is when you're getting together, there's also typically a variety of teas to sample, almost like a tea tasting where you're tasting, there'll be some green teas or black teas or herbal teas and different things like that. But flavors like cinnamon, apple, and cranberry are definitely ones that draw everybody in, hence the reason why we have our holiday tea blend around this time. Also, you're going to see a lot of holiday cookies, sandwiches, finger foods that are very festive. Now, we do have an additional festive touch to ours, and that adds peppermint and cranberry, which haven't necessarily been mentioned in the other countries. We also have a lot of vanilla that we use, but cinnamon and orange are two things that are almost universal, touching almost every country that we've had. And I think that part of that is it's the season for it, the time of year and everything. But second, I think regardless of where you're from, those flavors just really remind people of Christmas and the holidays. So the other thing that is fun about the US is it's often guests are invited to go and take some of the cookies, like almost on a cookie walk where you take some of each of the cookies and take them home and enjoy them. So that was a quick little thing about Christmas tea rituals from around the world. What I find is interesting is so many of them are similar. It is a strong tea. It is a spiced tea, typically with the same kind of spices and fruits involved. And then very much similar kinds of snacks to go along with it. On that note, we're going to talk for a second because I did have somebody ask me recently. And on next week, as a reminder, that is our week for questions and answers. So please go ahead and get them to me if you have any questions. But I do wanted to kind of talk about what we have here. This is a traditional tiered tea tray. And what you'll see is sandwiches, finger sandwiches, your savories, little individual quiches could go here. Anything on that idea that's kind of like a heavier protein or a meat or kind of your savories. And then your middle tray is where you're going to put amazing things like this. Now, I got this morning, made by a friend, and it is a scone. But what she did is she took some of the onyx chai and she infused that in the milk and then made the scone. So first of all, I'm going to take a bite. And it's really good because you can taste the chai. But now I'm going to do it a more traditional way. I have raspberry here. I love raspberry. Preserves. Low sugar, not a lot of sugar added to these. And raspberry is not as much of a sweet. Okay. A little spoon there.
And whipped cream.
And I didn't make a lot of cream today because I didn't have time. Oh my gosh. She's hired. She can make my scones for me. Okay, so that's one of the things that we wanted to do is get out there. Oh my goodness, I can even imagine the gingerbread scone she was talking to me about this morning. I can't wait to try it. So good. You've got kind of the spice of the chai, which becomes really strong. I didn't add a lot of raspberry preserve, so it just adds a hint of the sweetness. But raspberry being kind of a tart sweet, and then a little of the creaminess from the whipped cream. I highly recommend. And it's bringing out a lot of the cinnamon that's in the tea.
Dominic said, the clotted cream, and Amy said, maybe you can convince her to share the recipe. Diane said, are the cookies to the right of the spoon vanilla crisps?
All right. I will say, Stephanie, will you share the recipe with everybody?
And Dominic said, yeah, Stephanie.
Dominique's like, yes, Stephanie, share the recipe. So Stephanie, you've been outed. I tried to keep it quiet so they wouldn't harass you, but they figured it out. It was you. So I would say share that recipe. It is absolutely delicious. I am still enjoying on the back end the flavor of the tea balanced with the chai spices in the end. Oh my goodness gracious. Amazing. Highly recommend for like Christmas morning. Yes, delicious.
Or leave the
so we could leave them for Santa Claus. I don't know that Santa Claus would get any because I think we would probably eat them all. But now, clotted cream would be ideal. I do have a simple recipe for making homemade clotted cream, but if you can't, go ahead and get some from, I personally like the Devonshire clotted cream a little bit better than the other ones. And you can find them in supermarkets if you look carefully. But that's it. Now, Diane, in answer to your question, are these vanilla crisps? These are not vanilla crisps. These are just shortbread cookies. There you go, shortbread cookies, which to me is just my memory of tea. You would have, well, like I said before, we had those kind of molasses-based cookies that weren't really sugary. And then I would always, with the girls, when they were growing up, and RJ, when he got old enough, we would have shortbread cookies. And they're very traditional kind of a shortbread cookie to enjoy on your sweet tray. Now, what I do have here is a Linzer cookie that we got yesterday at the market. And you'll see, so these are traditional Linzer berry. Oh my gosh. I tried this earlier with Serene Sunrise. And again, she used a raspberry in the middle and it is amazing.
One from Germany.
And she did them in the German style, which is just great because when you use a generational recipe that somebody's been using for generations, and yes, you may tweak it and add a little bit, but those old recipes just done well. Unbelievable. Now, I did say that I'm drinking Serene Sunrise, and I did want to show you that's what it's like. You can see the cinnamon and the black tea. Forgot to show this earlier. But it's just a simple blend, but it's bringing the cinnamon in it is really enhancing like the chai right here and the raspberry. Highly encourage that. Now, so this tier is going to be typically your scones, your clotted creams, your jams and preserves and things like that. Now the top is where you're going to find little chocolates, little pieces of cake, where you're also going to find things like this. Now this is a tea cake, and I'm in the process. I've got a lot of bright, really harsh flake right here. There we go. There we go. So this is just a lemon tea cake. I have a video I've been working on since I was in New England with it. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Because there's this cute little place that had the little tea cakes. But as you can tell, this is only about 2 inches square. Inch and a quarter square. I think it's more than that. Anyway, we'll split the distance. We'll say it's 1.5 inches square. But like this is the perfect size to go right here on the top in with your chocolates and your sweets. That's also typically where you will find like chocolate covered strawberries or fruit or anything like that, because just a little tiny tray of this sweets, you fill up on the savories, you enjoy the scones and clotted cream and jams and move up. Okay. Anybody have any questions so far?
I think somebody's saying I'm going to share the treats with your husband.
Am I going to share the treats with my husband?
Or your assistant?
Oh, my handy dandy assistant? No.
Diane says she loves lemon anything.
Yeah, and you know, and that's one of the things is lemon is another good one, although you'll get a lot of orange this season.
citrus.
Lemon is still a good citrus substitute for those that don't want the extra sweetness, or if they like a little more tartness than the orange. Lemon is great. Lemon Zinger was very, very popular yesterday because of the lemon and the ginger. Again, a lot of the same flavors that you're going to get during this time of year, which makes it so amazing. Now, next week, I do want to remind everybody that we are having our big question and answer. And so we will be focusing on that. Send me your questions. They could be holiday related, they could be food and tea pairing related, or they could just be a general question.
Amy has a question. If you have a book of tea rituals around the world.
I don't have a book, so I actually took it out of several books and several articles that I have had, but I don't have a book. But that's a really good question. I will write that down. Let me put this up just so everybody can see her question. I actually can try and find some sources for you and see if I can get them for you all next week. So, let's see. All right. So any other questions while we're at it? Meanwhile, I will remind you of a couple of things. Next week we will be meeting. And next week is our question and answers. And then we are going to go ahead. The week after that, I have been practicing, as in I have been in the kitchen messing around with a Christmas tea mocktail. And then I've got another one. We're going to actually do 2 mocktails in a row this month because we're going to do one for Christmas on the 22nd. And then when we meet on the 29th, I have a New Year's Eve sangria mocktail using tea. I will tell you, this is going to be a hit. Every time I've tasted it, I haven't even let the handy dandy assistant touch it or smell it because he will drink it all and then I won't be able to taste test.
Diane asks, could we maybe get a few recipes next week?
Absolutely. What kind of recipes do we want? Do we want like recipes like we're all going to, like I'll get from Stephanie for the scone? Are we looking for some of the tea cake recipes? Are we looking for recipes that we use with the tea blends? Just let me know what kind of recipes you would love to know, and we can definitely get some of those for next week.
They should be on day 8 of the Advent tin.
They should be. Anybody who has an Advent tin, you should be on day 8. It is the 8th of December already, which means
except for Diane,
Handy Dandy's assistant's oldest granddaughter is going to be 12 in a couple of days.
But Diane,
he's gonna try and change the subject down.
Advent tin, Advent.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's great. Let me know what kinds of recipes you're looking for next week because I am happy to share anything that we've got scone wise or baked good wise or things with tea. Diane says, I think I have 8 left from mine. I love that.
8 left.
Now, to be fair, everybody, what you don't understand is when we had our live sale in October, Diane got the fall Advent tin. And so it was a really pretty sunflower and fall tin. And it had all 24 teas for Advent, but it was in a fall tin. So she was completely justified in not waiting for Advent to start them. You know, we can't fault her for that. I would have had a hard time resisting as well. In fact, that was one of the benefits of going through from the reels that I made from December or starting November 1st to the 24th was doing all the teas and getting to try them in advance because we sit there and when we create the Advent tins, we do it in a way so that you're not like green tea, green tea, green tea, green tea. Oh, okay, we're done with the greens. Let's move to this. And we try not to do the same flavor profile every day in a row. So there's a method to the madness in what we choose to do on what day. And so it's always refreshing and kind of fun to go through and do the unboxing. Thank you for that idea, Dominique, and going through and different things about the tea each day and being surprised other than day 1 and day 24, where I know what they are, because day 1 is always serene sunrise and day 24 is always going to be holiday blend. But other than that, it's a surprise to me too, because we create everything in advance. So
Diane's locking in.
all right. Well, I've enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed learning about some of the rituals and different ways of celebrating Christmas with tea around the world. If you want to hear more or you have any more specific questions, just shoot them out to me, because next week we are going to do our question and answer. And I wish you all the best week.
Stay warm.